Tao Te Ching by Laozi, read by Martin Pritchard. 1. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one can see the manifestations. These two spring from the same source, but differ in name. This appears as darkness. Darkness, then darkness. The gate to all mystery. 2. Under heaven all can see beauty as beauty, only because there is ugliness. All can know good as good, only because there is evil. Therefore having and not having arise together. Difficult and easy complement each other. Long and short contrast each other. High and low rest upon each other. Voice harmonize each other. Front and back follow each other. Therefore the wise go about doing nothing, teaching no talking. The 10,000 things rise and fall without cease. Creating, yet not possessing. Working, yet not taking credit. Work is done, then forgotten. Therefore it lasts forever. 3. Not exalting the gifted prevents quarreling. Not collecting treasures prevents stealing. Not seeing desirable things prevents confusion of the heart. The wise therefore rule by emptying hearts and stuffing bellies, by weakening ambitions and strengthening bones. If people lack and desire, then it is best not to interfere. If nothing is done, then all will be well. 4. The Tao is an empty vessel. It is used, but never filled. Oh, unfathomable source of 10,000 things, blunt sharpness, untangle the knot, soften the glare, merge with dust. Oh, hidden deep, but ever present. I do not know from whence it comes. It is the forefather of the ancestors. 5. Heaven and earth are impartial. They see the 10,000 things as they are. The wise are impartial. They see the people as they are. The space between heaven and earth is like a bellows. The shape changes, not the form. The more it moves, the more it yields. More words count less. Hold fast to the center. 6. The valley spirit never dies. It is the woman, primal mother. Her gateway is the root of heaven and earth. It is like barely seen. Use it, it will never fail. 7. Heaven lasts forever. Why do heaven last forever? They are unborn, so ever living. The wise stay behind, and are thus ahead. They are detached, thus at one with all. Through selfless action, they attain fulfillment. 8. The highest good is like water. Water gives life to the 10,000 things, and does not strive. It flows in places people reject, and so is like the Tao. In dwelling, be close to the land. In meditation, go deep in the heart. In dealing with others, be gentle and kind. In speech, be true. In ruling, be just. In business, be competent. In action, watch the timing. No fight, no blame. 9. Better stop short than fill to the brim. Over-sharpen the blade, and the edge will soon blunt. Amass a store of gold and jade, and no one can protect it. Claim wealth and titles, and disaster will follow. Retire when the work is done. This is the way of heaven. 10. Carrying body and soul and embracing the one, can you avoid separation? Attending fully and becoming supple, can you be as a newborn babe? Washing and the primal vision, Can you be withstanding, loving the people and ruling the country? Can you be without cleverness? Opening and closing the gates of heaven, can you the role of woman? Understanding and being open to all things. Are you able to do nothing? Giving birth and nourishing, bearing, not possessing, working yet not taking credit, leading, not dominating. This is the primal virtue. 11. 30 spokes, the wheel's hub. It is the center hole that makes it useful. Shape the clay into a vessel. It is the space within that makes it useful. Cut doors and windows for a room. It is the holes that make it useful. Therefore, profit comes from what is there, usefulness from what is not there. 12. The 5 colors blind the eye. The 5 tones deafen the ear. The 5 dull the taste. Racing and hunting madden the mind. Precious things lead us astray. Therefore the wise are guided by what they feel, and not by what they see, letting go of that, and choosing this. 13. Accept disgrace willingly. Accept misfortune as the human condition. What do you mean by accept disgrace willingly? Accept being unimportant. Do not be concerned with loss or gain. This is called accepting disgrace willingly. What do you mean by accept misfortune as the human condition? Misfortune comes from having a body. Without a body, how could there be misfortune? Surrender yourself humbly. Then you can be trusted to care for all things. Love the world as your own self. Then you can truly care for all things. 14. Look, it cannot be seen, it is beyond form. Listen, cannot be heard, it is beyond sound. Grasp, it cannot be held, it is intangible. These 3 are indefinable, therefore they are joined in one. From above, it is not bright. From below, it is not dark. An unbroken thread beyond description. It returns to nothingness. The form of the formless, the image of the imageless. It is called indefinable and beyond imagination. Stand before it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. Stay with the ancient Tao. Move with the present. Knowing the ancient beginning is the essence of Tao. 15. The ancients were subtle, mysterious, profound, responsive. The depth of their knowledge is unfathomable. Because it is unfathomable, all we can do is describe their appearance. Watchful, as though crossing a winter stream. Alert, like people aware of danger. Courteous, visiting guests. Yielding, like ice about to melt. Simple, like uncarved blocks of wood. Hollow, like caves. Opaque, like muddy pools. Who can wait quietly while the mud settles? Who can remain still until the moment of action? Observers of the Tao do not seek fulfillment. Not seeking fulfillment, they are not swayed by desire for change. 16. Empty yourself of everything. Let the mind become still. The 10,000 things rise and fall, while the self watches their return. They grow and flourish, and then return to the source. Returning to the source is stillness, which is the way of nature. The way of nature is unchanging. Knowing constancy is insight. Not knowing constancy leads to disaster. Knowing constancy, the mind is open. With an open mind, you will be open-hearted. Being open-hearted, you will royally. Being royal, you will attain the divine. Being divine, you will be at one with the Tao. Being at one with the Tao is eternal. And though the body dies, the Tao will never pass away. 17. Very few are aware of the highest. Then comes which they know and love, then which is feared, then which is despised. Those who do not trust enough will not be trusted when actions are performed without unnecessary talk. People say, "We did it," 18, when the great Tao is forgotten. Kindness and morality arise. When wisdom and intelligence are born, the great pretense begins. When there is no peace within the family, filial piety and devotion arise. When the country is confused and in chaos, loyal ministers appear. 19. Give up sainthood, renounce wisdom, and it will be 100 times better for everyone. Give up kindness, renounce morality and people, filial piety and love. Give up ingenuity, renounce profit, and bandits and thieves will disappear. These three are outward forms alone. They are not sufficient in themselves. It is more important to see the simplicity, to realize our true nature, to cast off selfishness and temper desire. 20. Give up learning and put an end to your troubles. Is there a difference between yes and no? Is there between good and evil? Must I fear what others fear? What nonsense! Other people are contented, enjoying the sacrificial feast of the ox. In spring some go to the park and climb the terrace. But I alone am drifting, not knowing where I am, like a newborn babe, for it learns to smile. I am alone, without a place to go. Others have more than they need, but I alone have nothing. I am a fool. Oh yes, I am confused. Others are clear and bright, but I alone am dim and weak. Others are and clever, but I alone am dull and stupid. Oh, drift like the waves of the sea, without direction, like the restless wind. Everyone else is busy, but I alone am aimless and without desire. Am different. I am nourished, the Great Mother. 1. The greatest virtue is to follow Tao and Tao alone. The Tao is elusive and intangible. Oh, it is intangible and elusive, and yet within is image. Oh, it is elusive and intangible, and yet within is form. Oh, it is dim and dark, and yet within is essence. This essence is very real, and therein lies faith. From the very beginning until now its name has never been forgotten. Thus I perceive creation. How do the ways of creation? Because of this. 22. Yield and overcome, bend and be straight, empty and be full, out and be new, have little and gain, have much and be confused. Therefore the wise embrace the one, and an example to all, not putting on a display. They shine forth, not justifying themselves, are distinguished. Not boasting, they receive recognition. Not bragging, they never falter. They do not quarrel, so no one quarrels with them. Therefore the ancients say, yield and overcome. Is that an empty saying? Be truly whole, and all things will come to you. 23. To talk little is natural. High winds do not last all morning. Heavy rain does not last all day. Why is this? Heaven and earth. If heaven and cannot make things last forever, how is it possible for us, those who follow the Tao, are at one with the Tao? Those who are virtuous experience virtue. Those who lose their way are lost. When you with the Tao welcomes you. When you at one with virtue, virtue is always there. When you are at one with loss, loss is experienced willingly. Those trust enough will not be trusted. 24. Those who stand on tiptoe are not steady. Those who stride cannot maintain the pace. Those who put on a show are not enlightened. Those who are self-righteous are not respected. Those who boast achieve nothing. Those who brag will not endure. According to followers of the Tao, these are unnecessary food and baggage. They do not bring happiness. Therefore, followers of the Tao avoid them. 25. Something mysteriously formed, born before heaven and earth. In the silence and the void, standing alone and unchanging, ever and in motion. Perhaps it is the mother of 10,000 things. I do not know its name. Call it Tao. For lack of a better word, I call it great. Being great, it flows far away. Having gone far, it returns. Therefore, Tao is great. Heaven is great. Earth is great. The human being is also great. These are 4 great powers of the universe, and the human being is one of them. The human being follows the earth. Earth follows heaven. Heaven follows the Tao. Tao follows what is natural. 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The still is the master of unrest. Therefore the wise, traveling all day, do not sight of their baggage. Though there are beautiful things to be seen, they remain unattached and calm. Why should the Lord of 10,000 chariots lightly in public? To be light is to lose our root. To be restless is to lose control. 27. A good walker leaves no tracks. A good speaker makes no slips. A good reckoner needs no tally. A good door needs no lock, yet no one open it. Good binding requires no knots, yet no one can loosen it. Therefore the wise take care of everyone and abandon no one. They take care of all things and abandon nothing. This is called following the light. What a good person, the teacher of a bad person. What is a bad person? A good person's charge. If the teacher is not respected and the student not cared for, confusion will arise, however clever one is. This is the crux of mystery. 20. Know the strength of a man, but keep a woman's care. Be the stream of the universe. Being the stream of the universe, ever and unswerving. Become as a little once more. Know the white, but keep the black. Be an example to the world. Being an example to the world, ever and unwavering. Return to the infinite. Know honor, yet remain humble. Be the valley of the universe, being of the universe, ever resourceful. Return to the state of the uncarved block. When the block is carved, it becomes useful. When the wise use it, they become rulers. Thus, a great tailor makes few cuts. 20. Do you think you can conquer the universe and improve it? I do not believe this can be done. The universe is sacred. You cannot improve it. If you try to change it, you will ruin it. If you try to hold on to it, you will lose it. So sometimes things are ahead, and sometimes they are behind. Sometimes breathing is hard. Sometimes it comes easily. Sometimes there is strength, and sometimes weakness. Sometimes one is up, and sometimes down. Therefore the wise avoid extremes, excesses, and complacency. 30. Whenever you advise rulers in the way of Tao, counsel them not to use force to conquer the universe, for this would only cause resistance. Thorn bushes spring up wherever the army has passed. Lean years in the wake of a great war. Just needs to be done. Never take advantage of power. Achieve results, but glory in them. Achieve results, but never boast. Achieve results, but never be proud. Achieve results, because this is the natural way. Achieve results, but not through violence. Force is followed by loss of strength. This not the way of the Tao. That which goes against the Tao comes to an early end. 31. Good weapons are instruments of fear. All creatures hate them. Therefore, followers of Tao never use them. The wise prefer the left. Soldiers prefer the right. Weapons are instruments of fear. They are not tools of the wise. They use them only when there is no choice. Peace and quiet are dear to their hearts, and victory no cause for rejoicing. If you rejoice in victory, then you delight in killing. If you delight in killing, you cannot fulfill yourself. On happy occasions, precedence is given to the left. On sad occasions, to the right. In the army, the general stands on the left, the commander-in-chief on the right. This means that war is conducted like a funeral. When people are killed, they should be mourned in felt sorrow. That is why a victory must be observed like a funeral. 32. The Tao is forever undefined. Small though it is in the unformed state, it cannot be grasped. If leaders could harness it, the 10,000 things would naturally obey. Heaven and earth would come together, and gentle rain fall. People would no longer need laws, and all things would take their course. Once the whole is divided, the parts need names. There are already enough names. We need to know when to stop. Knowing when to stop averts trouble. Tao in the world is like a river flowing home to the sea. 33. Knowing others is wisdom. Knowing the self is enlightenment. Mastering others requires force. Mastering the self needs strength. Those who know they have enough are rich. Perseverance is a sign of willpower. Those who stay where they are endure. To die but not to perish is to be eternally present. 34. The great Tao flows everywhere, both to the left and to the right. The 10,000 things depend on it. It holds nothing back. It fulfills its purpose silently and makes no claim. It nourishes the 10,000 things, but does not rule them. It has no aim. It is very small. The 10,000 things return to it, yet it does not rule them. It is great. It does not show greatness, and is therefore truly great. 35. Everyone is drawn to those who keep to the one. For there lie rest and happiness and peace. Passers-by may stop for music and good food, but it is not possible to describe the Tao. Without substance or flavor, it cannot be seen, it cannot be heard, and yet it cannot be exhausted. 36. That which shrinks must first expand. That which fails must first be strong. That which is cast down must first be raised. Before receiving, there must be giving. This is called perception of the nature of things. Soft and weak overcome hard and strong. Fish cannot leave deep water. And a country's weapons should not be displayed. 37. Tao abides in non-action. yet nothing is left undone. If those in power observed this, the 10,000 things would develop naturally. If they still desired to act, they would return to the simplicity of formless substance. Without form there is no desire. Without desire there is tranquility, and in this way all things would be at peace. 38. Truly good people are not aware of their goodness, and are therefore good. Foolish people try to be good, and are therefore not good. Truly good people do nothing, yet leave nothing undone. Foolish people are always doing, yet it remains to be done. When truly kind people do something, they leave nothing undone. When just people do something, they leave a great deal to be done. When disciplinarians do something, and no one responds, they roll up their sleeves and try to enforce order. Therefore, when Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is kindness. When kindness is lost, there is justice. When justice is lost, there is ritual. Now ritual is the husk of faith and loyalty, the beginning of confusion. Knowledge of the future is only a flowery trapping of Tao. It is the beginning of folly. Therefore, truly great people dwell on what is real, and not what is on the surface, on the fruit, and not the flower. Therefore, accept the one and reject the other. 9. These things from ancient times arise from one. The sky is whole and clear. The earth is whole and firm. The spirit is whole and strong. The valley is whole and full. The 10,000 things are whole and alive. Those in power are whole, and the country is upright. All these, in virtue of wholeness. The clarity of the sky prevents it from falling. The firmness of the earth prevents it from splitting. The strength of the spirit prevents it from being exhausted. The fullness of the valley prevents it from drying up. The growth of the 10,000 things prevents their extinction. Good leadership by those in power prevents the country from failing. Therefore the humble is the root of the noble, the low, the foundation of the high. The wise consider themselves orphaned, widowed, and worthless. Their humility is the source of their strength. Too much success is not an advantage. Do not tinkle like jade, or clatter like stone chimes. 40. Returning is the motion of the Tao. Yielding is the way of the Tao. The 10 things arise from being. Being is from not being. 41. The wise student hears of the Tao and practices it diligently. The average student hears of the Tao and thinks about it now and then. The foolish student hears of Tao and laughs out loud. If there were no laughter, the Tao would not be what it is. Hence it is said, the bright path seems dim, going forward seems like retreat. The easy seems hard, the highest virtue seems empty, great purity seems sullied. A wealth of virtue seems inadequate, the strength of virtue seems frail, real virtue seems unreal. The perfect square has no corners, great talents ripen late, the highest notes are hard to hear. The greatest form has no shape, the Tao is hidden and without name, the Tao alone nourishes and brings everything to fulfillment. 42. The Tao begot one. One begot two. Two begot three. And three begot the 10,000 things. The 10,000 things carry yin and embrace yang. They achieve harmony by combining these forces. People hate to be orphaned, widowed, or worthless. But this is how the wise describe themselves. For one gains by losing, and loses by gaining. What others teach, I also teach. That is, a violent person will die a violent death. This is the essence of my teaching. 43. The softest thing in the universe overcomes the hardest thing in the universe. That without substance can enter where there is no room. Hence I know the value of non-action, teaching without words and working without doing, are understood by very few. 44. Fame or self, which matters more? Self or wealth, which is more precious? Gain or loss, which causes more pain? Those who are attached to things will suffer greatly. Those who save will suffer heavy losses. Those who are contented are never disappointed. Those who know when to stop do not find themselves in trouble. They remain forever safe. 45. Great accomplishment seems imperfect, yet it does not outlive its usefulness. Great fullness seems empty, yet it cannot be exhausted. Great straightness seems twisted. Great intelligence seems stupid. Great eloquence seems awkward. Movement overcomes cold. Stillness overcomes heat. Stillness and tranquility restore order in the universe. 46. When the Tao is present in the universe, the horses haul manure. When the Tao from the universe, war horses are bred outside the city. There is no greater sin than craving, no greater curse than discontent, no greater misfortune than wanting something for ourselves. Therefore, those who know that enough is enough will always have enough. 47. Without going outside, you may know the whole world. Without looking through the window, you may see the ways of heaven. The farther you go, the less you know. Thus the wise know without traveling, see without looking, work without doing. 48. In the pursuit of learning, something is acquired every day. In the pursuit of the Tao, every day something is relinquished, less and less is done, until non-action is achieved. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. The world is governed by letting things take their course. It cannot be governed through interference. 49. The wise do not hold opinions. They are aware of the needs of others. I am good to people who are good. I am also good to who are not good, because is goodness. I have faith in people who are faithful. I also have faith in people who are not faithful, because virtue is faithfulness. The wise are shy and humble. They behave like small children. To the world they seem confusing. Yet people look to them and listen. 50. Between birth and death, 3 in 10 are followers of life. 3 in 10 are followers of death. And people just passing from birth to death also number 3 in 10. Why is this? Because they live their lives on the gross level. Those who know how to live walk abroad without fear of rhinoceroses or tigers. They will not be wounded in battle, for in them the rhinoceros finds no place to thrust its horn, nor the tiger to use its claws, and weapons no place to pierce. Why is this? Because they have no place for death to enter. 51. All things arise from Tao. They are nourished by virtue. They are formed from matter. They are shaped by environment. Thus the 10,000 things respect Tao and honor virtue. Respect of Tao and honor of virtue are not demanded, but they are in the nature of things. Therefore all things arise from Tao. By virtue they are nourished, developed, cared for, sheltered, comforted, grown, and protected, creating without claiming, doing, taking credit, guiding, interfering. This is primal virtue. 52. The beginning of the universe is the mother of all things. Knowing the mother, you also know the sons. Knowing the sons, yet remaining in touch with the mother, brings freedom from the fear of death. Keep shut, guard the senses, and life is always full. Your mouth always be busy, and life is beyond hope. Seeing the small is insight, yielding to force is strength, using the outer light, return to insight, and in this way be saved from harm. This is learning constancy. 53. If I have even just a little sense, I will walk on the main road, and my only fear will be of straying from it. Keeping the main road is simple, but people are easily distracted. When the court is arrayed in splendor, the fields are full of weeds, and the granaries are empty. Some wear gorgeous clothes, carry sharp swords, and indulge in food and drink. They have more possessions than they can use. They are robber barons. This is certainly not the way of Tao. 54. What is firmly established cannot be uprooted. What is firmly grasped cannot slip away. It will be honored from generation to generation. Cultivate virtue in yourself, and virtue will be real. Cultivate it in the family, and virtue will abound. Cultivate it in the village, and virtue will grow. Cultivate it in the nation, and virtue will be abundant. Cultivate it in the universe, and virtue will be everywhere. Therefore, look at the body as body. Look at the family as family. Look the village as village. Look the nation as nation. Look at the universe as universe. How do I know the universe is like this? By looking. 55. If you are filled with virtue, you, like a newborn child. Wasps and serpents will not harm you. Wild beasts will not pounce on you. You will not be attacked by birds of prey. Your bones are soft, your muscles weak, but your hip is firm. You have not experienced the union of man and woman, yet you are whole. You are strong. You may shout all day without becoming hoarse. This is perfect harmony. Knowing me is constancy. Knowing constancy is enlightenment. It is not wise to rush about. Trying to control the breath causes strain. If too much energy is used, exhaustion follows. This is not the way of Tao. Whatever is contrary to Tao will not last long. 56. Those who do not talk. Those who talk do not know. Close your mouth. Guard your senses. Temper sharpness. Simplify your problems. Mask your brightness. Be at one with the dust of the earth. This is primal union. Those who have achieved this state do not distinguish between friends and enemies, between good and harm, between honor and disgrace. This is the highest state of being. 57. Rule a nation with justice. Wage war with surprise tactics. Become the master of the universe without striving. How do I know that this is so? Because of this. The more laws and restrictions there are, the poorer people become, the sharper men's weapons, the more trouble in the land. The more and clever people are, the more strange things happen. The more rules and regulations, the more thieves and robbers. Therefore the wise one says, I take no action and people behave themselves. I enjoy peace and people become honest. I do nothing, and people become rich. I have no desires, and people return to the and simple life. 58. When the country is ruled with a light hand, the people are simple. When the country is ruled harshly, the people are cunning. Happiness is rooted in misery. Misery lurks beneath happiness. Who knows what the future holds? There is no honesty. Honesty becomes dishonest. Goodness becomes delusion. People's delusion lasts for a long time. Therefore the wise are sharp, but not cutting, pointed, but not piercing, straightforward, but not unrestrained, brilliant, but not blinding. In caring for others and serving heaven, there is nothing like using restraint. Restraint begins with giving up our own ideas. This depends on virtue gathered in the past. If there is a good store of virtue, then nothing is impossible. If nothing is impossible, then there are no limits. If we know no limits, then we are fit to rule. The mother principle of ruling holds good for a long time. This is called having deep roots and a firm foundation. The Tao of long life and eternal vision. 60. Ruling the country is like cooking a small fish. Approach the universe with Tao, and evil will have no power. Not that evil is not powerful, but its power will not be used to harm others. Not only will it do no harm to others, but the wise will also be protected. We will not hurt one another, and the virtue in each one of us refreshes everyone. 61. A great nation is like low land. It is the meeting ground of the universe, the mother of the universe. The female overcomes the male with stillness, lying in stillness. Therefore, if a great nation yields to a smaller nation, it will conquer the smaller nation. And if a smaller nation submits to a great nation, it can conquer the great nation. Therefore, those who would conquer must yield, and those who conquer do so through yielding. A great nation needs more people. A small nation needs to serve. Each gets what it wants. It is fitting for a great nation to yield. 62. Tao is the source of the 10,000 things. It is the treasure of the good and the refuge of the bad. Sweet words can buy honor. Good deeds can gain respect. If people are bad, do not abandon them. Therefore, on the day the emperor is crowned, or the 3 officers of state installed, do not send a gift of jade and a team of horses, but remain still and offer the Tao. Why does everyone value the Tao so much? Isn't it because you find what you seek and are forgiven when you sin? Therefore, this is the greatest treasure in the universe. 63. Practice non-action. Work, doing. Taste the tasteless. Magnify the small, increase the few. Reward is with care. See simplicity in the complicated. Achieve greatness in small things. In the universe, the difficult things are done as though they were easy. In the universe, great acts are made up of small deeds. The wise do not attempt anything very big, and thus achieve greatness. Easy promises make for little trust. Taking things results in great difficulty. Because the wise always confront difficulties, they never experience them. 64. Peace is easily maintained. Trouble is easily overcome before it starts. The brittle is easily shattered. The small is easily scattered. With things before they happen. Put things in order before there is confusion. A tree as great as a man's embrace springs from a small shoot A terrace 9 stories high begins with a pile of earth. A journey of 1,000 miles starts under one's feet. Those act defeat their own purpose. Those who grasp lose. The wise do not act and so are not defeated. They do not grasp and therefore do not lose. People usually fail when they are on the verge of success, so give as much care to the end as to the beginning. Then there will be no failure. Therefore the wise seek freedom from desire. They do not collect precious things. They learn not to hold on to ideas. They bring people back to what they have lost. They help the 10,000 things find their own nature, yet refrain from action. 65. In the beginning those who the Tao did not try to enlighten others, but kept it hidden. Why? It's so hard to rule. Because the people are so clever. Rulers who try to use cleverness cheat the country. Those who rule without cunning are a blessing to the land. These are the two alternatives. Understanding these is primal virtue. Primal virtue goes deep and far. It leads all things back toward the great onness. 66. Why is the sea king of 100 streams? Because it lies below them. Therefore, it is the king of 100 streams. If you would guide the people, you must serve with humility. If you would lead them, you must follow behind. In this way, when you rule, the people will not feel oppressed. When you stand before them, they will not be harmed. The whole world will support you and will not tire of you. Because you do not compete, you will not have competition. 67. Everyone under heaven says that my Tao is great and beyond compare. Because it is great, it seems different. If it were not different, it would have vanished long ago. I have 3 treasures which I hold and keep. The first is mercy. The second is economy. The third is daring not to be ahead of others. From mercy comes courage. From economy comes generosity. From humility comes leadership. Nowadays people shun mercy, but try to be brave. They abandon economy, but try to be generous. They do not believe in humility, always try to be first. This is certain death. Mercy brings victory in battle and strength in defense. It is the means by which heaven saves and guards. 68. A good soldier is not violent. A good fighter is not angry. A good winner is not vengeful. A good one is humble. This is known as the virtue of not striving. This is known as the ability to deal with people. This, since ancient times, has been known as the ultimate unity with heaven. 69. There is a saying among soldiers: I dare not make the first move, but would rather play the guest. I dare not advance an inch, would rather withdraw a foot. This is called marching with appearing to move. Rolling up your sleeves without showing your arm, capturing the enemy without attacking, being armed without weapons. There is no greater catastrophe than underestimating the enemy. By underestimating the enemy, I risk losing what I value. Therefore, when the battle is joined, the underdog will win. 70. My words are easy to understand and easy to perform, yet no one under heaven them or practices them. My words have ancient beginnings. My actions are disciplined. Because people do not understand, they have no knowledge of me. Those that know me are few. Those that abuse me are honored. Therefore the wise wear rough clothing and hold the jewel in their heart. 71. Knowing is strength. Ignoring knowledge is sickness. If one is sick of sickness, one is not sick. The wise are not sick, because they are sick of sickness. Therefore they are not sick. 72. When people lack a sense of awe, there will be disaster. Do not intrude into their homes. Do not harass them at work. If you do not interfere, they will not weary of you. Therefore the wise know themselves but make no show, have self-respect but are not arrogant. They let go of that and choose this. 73. A brave and passionate person will kill or be killed. A brave and calm person will always preserve life. Of these two, which is good and which is harmful? Some things are not favored by heaven. Who knows why? Even the wise are unsure of this. The Tao of heaven does not strive, and yet it overcomes. It does not speak, and yet is answered. It does not ask, all its needs are met. It seems to have no aim, and yet its purpose is fulfilled. Heaven's net is cast wide. Though its meshes are coarse, nothing slips through. 74. If people are not afraid to die, it is of no avail to threaten them with death. If people live in constant fear of dying, and if breaking the law is that someone will be killed, who to break the law? There is always an official executioner. If you try to take his place, it is like trying to be a master carpenter and cutting wood. If you try to cut wood like a master carpenter, you will only hurt your hand. 75. Why are the people starving? Because the rulers eat up the money in taxes. Therefore, the people are starving. Why are the people rebellious? Because the rulers interfere too much. Therefore, the people are rebellious. Why do the people think so little of death? Because the rulers demand too much of life. Therefore, the people take death lightly. Having little to live on, they know better than to value life too highly. 76. We are born gentle and weak, but at death are stiff and hard. Green plants are tender and filled with sap. At their death, they are withered and dry. Therefore, the stiff, unbending, is the disciple of death. The gentle and yielding is the disciple of life. Thus an army without flexibility never wins a battle. A tree that is unbending is easily broken. The hard and strong will fall. The soft and weak will overcome. 77. The Tao of heaven is like bending a bow. The high is lowered and the low is raised. If the string is too long, it is shortened. If there is not enough, it is made longer. The Tao of heaven is to take from those who have too much and give who do not have enough. Ordinary people act differently. They take from those who do not have enough and give to those who already have too much. Who has more than enough and gives it to the world? Only the wise. Therefore the wise work without recognition. They achieve what has to be done without dwelling on it. They do not try to show their knowledge. 78. Under heaven nothing is more soft and yielding than water. Yet for attacking the solid and strong, nothing is better. It has no equal. The weak can overcome the strong. The supple can overcome the stiff. Under heaven, everyone knows this. Yet no one puts it to practice. Therefore the wise say, if you take on the humiliation of the people, you are fit to rule them. If you take upon yourself the country's disasters, you deserve to be ruler of the universe. The truth often sounds paradoxical. 79. After a bitter quarrel, some resentment remains. What can be done about this? The wise keep their half of the bargain, but exact their due. Virtuous people perform their part, but those without virtue require others to fulfill their obligations. The Tao of heaven is impartial. It remains with those who are good. 80. A small country has fewer people. Though there are machines that can work 10 to 100 times faster than people, they are not needed. The people take death seriously and do not travel far. Though they have carriages, no one uses them. Though they have armor and weapons, no one displays them. People return to the knotting of rope in place of riding. Their food is plain and healthy, their clothes fine but simple, their homes secure. They are happy in their lives, though they live within sight of their neighbors, and crowing cocks and barking dogs are heard across the way. Yet they leave each other in peace while they grow old and die. 81. Truths are not beautiful. Beautiful words are not truthful. Good people do not argue. Those who are not good. Those who know are not learned. The learned do not know. The wise never try to hold on to things. The more you do for others, the more you have. The more you give to others, the greater your abundance. The Tao of heaven is sharp but does no harm. The Tao of the wise is to work without effort. Notes, comments, and echoes. Selected bibliography. Resources. Notes, comments, and echoes. It is not my intention here to present historical material or extensive interpretation of the text. Several good academic commentaries are suggested in the selected bibliography. I offer the following only as my own thoughts, based on examination of other translations and on the study of many other spiritual philosophies and traditions. 1. This famous opening might also be rendered as, the way that can be explained is not the eternal way, or the path that is well marked is not the eternal path. Although the true way or path has always existed in eternity and rigorously conforms to precise laws, it must always be discovered for oneself. It is always new. One must always struggle to free oneself from the spell of thoughts and images that are at best reflective only of what has been experienced in the past. The ordinary, isolated intellect is not the agent through which the living, present moment can be experienced. This ordinary mind is prey to countless suggestions and associations that can impede the experience of reality. And among the most seductive are those that have spiritual or religious content. The truth, said Krishnamurti, is a pathless land. The real guide, therefore, does not only give students the truth, but offers conditions that help them discover the truth for themselves. Some comment on the meaning of desire may be of help here. In this chapter, no negative judgment is applied to desiring, although other translators, such as Paul Carus, have thought otherwise. Carus has, but he who is by desire bound sees the mere shell of things around. The present translation may be taken to suggest that through desires one is drawn toward the manifestations of the ultimate source. These manifestations are the 10,000 things and have their own reality. In other words, real effects of the real cause. Trouble begins only when one mistakes the effects for the cause. The main point to be noted here is that the word desire can refer to something morally neutral within us, or, in other contexts, to the main abnormality and distortion of our nature. In the latter case, a more accurate word would be addiction or craving, which is what a desire becomes when we allow it to absorb the finer energies of our psyche. Craving is a desire that devours us, but desires, pure and simple, are not to be killed or suppressed. They are an aspect of our human nature, which enter importantly into the process of inner transformation at a certain stage of the way. Confusion between these two meanings has resulted in a great misunderstanding of many spiritual, religious, and philosophical teachings through the ages. In the present translation, the context usually makes it quite clear which sense of desire Laozi intended. 2. The world of manifestation is a world in which all phenomena are the result of the interplay of two opposing forces. It is wisdom to realize that everything one can see in this world has its opposite. Every force evokes and depends upon a counterforce. Distortion and illusion come from not understanding this, from affirming the good, for example, and ignoring or naively seeking to destroy that which opposes the good. The wise understand all of life amid the 10,000 things as basically a play of forces. Moral teachings that attempt to break the complementary relation of good and evil are doomed to failure and breed violence to others and to oneself. This teaching is an essential aspect of the doctrine that has, in the Western world, often been condemned as heretical or dangerous. It is always a difficult, hidden, and subtle doctrine, easily misunderstood as justifying self-indulgence and even cruelty. Nietzsche's famous Beyond Good and Evil echoes this doctrine, and the crimes that have been committed under this banner are ample testimony to the need to understand it only in the context of a complete spiritual teaching. In Judaism and Islam, this idea often forms part of the esoteric path, reserved for those who have passed through the moral discipline and training of the exoteric or orthodox tradition. Every complete religious tradition comprises these different levels of understanding and practice. 3. The wise rule by freeing people and themselves from attachment to desires, that is, cravings, by helping to strengthen the essential in human nature, stuffing bellies and strengthening bones, and by reducing the lopsided dependence on acquired mental knowledge and artificially induced desires. 5. These lines suggest the universal scale at which the wise measure human values. Humanity has a cosmic destiny, whereas most of what we call morality concerns relative and ephemeral social values, often having to do mainly with what is good or bad only for the individual person or group. The impartiality of the wise refers to the universal context within which they understand the meaning of human life and its possibilities. The highest forces can care for us only to the extent that we allow them into our own being. In the Guide for the Perplexed, the great 12th century Jewish spiritual philosopher Moses Maimonides states that God's providence can act in human life only to the extent that our intellect is in actual contact with God. Otherwise, says Maimonides, human beings are like cattle and subject to accidents of every kind. This perspective was never incorporated into the mainstream of Orthodox Judaism. 8. Water is one of Lao Tzu's principal symbols for the Tao, along with the infant, the female, the valley, and the uncarved block. Those who live the Tao act in their lives and dealings as water acts in nature. Water does not resist, yet it conquers all. It is tasteless, suggesting the invisibility of the Tao, yet life-giving. It moves through all that lives, and in movement remains clear and pure. It is supple, flexible, and humble. It does not compete. It flows naturally to the lowest places. All things arise from water and return to water. What better image for what Lao Tzu means by non-being and non-acting, no fight, no blame. This line tersely expresses the idea that those who do not seek to impose their own will are beyond reproach. 10. More than in most versions, the present translation of this chapter carries a hint of the challenge to live fully in the world while maintaining contact with the source. That is, to be a two-natured being, embracing the two aspects of reality simultaneously. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna commands the warrior Arjuna to act strongly in the world but without attachment to the results of action. Consider this also as a possible reading of Christ's dictum, "Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and unto God that which is God's." Mark 12:17. 12. Therefore the wise are guided by what they feel, and not by what they see. Wing Sit Chan, Arthur Waley, Lin Yutang, and most other translators have rendered this line with the word belly. The sage provides for the belly and not the eye. Lin Yutang. This usage obviously expresses the same idea as Chapter 3, where belly refers to the essence, what may be felt and sensed as one's own nature, as opposed to what is seen externally and acquired from outside. The lopsided emphasis on the acquired personality disharmonizes our two-natured being. The racing thoughts of the mind experienced in meditation may be understood in this context. In Buddhism, this condition of mental agitation is an important aspect of what is called the samsaric, or deluded mind. 13. Misfortune comes from having a body. Lin Yutang and Richard Wilhelm do not take the word body literally, but rather translate it as self and persona, respectively. No doubt there is considerable truth in such readings, but the present translation may be pointing us to something even more fundamental, namely, that the illusion of the ego may itself be rooted in our wrong relationship to the organic reality of the. Perhaps the best echo of the meaning here is to be found in the Tibetan Buddhist text, The Life of Milarepa, in which after his first awesome labors of meditation, Milarepa tells his teacher, "This body is the blessed vessel for those fortunate beings who wish for freedom, but it also leads sinners into the lower realms." One consider also the writings of the Orthodox Christian fathers, such as Gregory Palamas. Gregory saying, "You see, brother, that not only spiritual, but general human reasoning shows the need to recognize it as imperative that those who wish to belong to themselves, and to be truly monks in their inner man, should lead the mind inside the body and hold it there." 2:17. This chapter is about different qualities of leadership. In all human undertakings, and especially along the way to self-knowledge, great leadership does not call attention to itself. The guide creates conditions and steers just enough to allow people to search for and experience the truth for themselves. A lesser leader inspires loyalty and affection. But if the student does not find his or her own free search, this loyalty will turn negative and become fear and resentment. It would be rewarding to study the fate of spiritual communities, of the present as well as the past, in the light of this chapter. Great teachers show trust by the quality of attention they give their students and the respect they show solely for the student's inner work. The story is told of the young Swami Vivekananda, who asked his teacher, Sri Ramakrishna, why he bowed to such an unworthy person as he knew himself to be. Sri Ramakrishna, it is said, replied forcefully, "I am not bowing to you. I bow to the Atman, the divine self in you." 18, 19, and 20. Laozi warns us that concepts of virtue, ideals of wisdom and morality, and all the precepts that are intended to lead us toward the good all too easily make us forget the main thing, which is to open within ourselves to that radiant energy whose action upon us will conform our lives to the Tao. Consider St. Augustine's "Love God and do what you will," and the spontaneous arising of compassion, karuna, along the way of the bodhisattva in Mahayana Buddhism. Morality is often only the imposition of one part of ourselves, the mind, upon the other parts, which remain, as it were, unconvinced and fundamentally untouched. This does not mean that seekers of the way abandon moral rules, but that, at a certain point, they see that external morality without internal morality can be a kind of tyranny over others. and over the living forces within ourselves. And the way toward this inner morality may seem startlingly or even shockingly opposed to morality. For example, give up sainthood, renounce wisdom. Again, it must be kept in mind that blindly going against conventional morality is as fruitless as blindly obeying convention. 21. Because of this, commentators and translators differ as to the exact meaning of this phrase. Is Lao Tzu saying that he knows the ways of creation simply by direct seeing of what he has just described? And should we imagine him to his chest as he says these words? In any case, and speaking more generally, the great metaphysical visions and philosophies of the past are invariably based what has been directly seen within oneself in the higher states of stillness and meditation. Metaphysics, whether Judeo-Christian, Hindu, Pythagorean, or Taoist, has always been based on inner experience as the mirror of the universe. Such teachings about the cosmos are never mere speculation or based solely on extrapolations from sense observations of the outer world. Here we may rephrase an ancient Hermetic saying, as above, so within. Only one must learn how to look within. 22. Arthur Waley's translation further illuminates the meaning of this chapter. To remain whole, be twisted. To become straight, let yourself be bent. To become full, be hollow. Be tattered, that you may be renewed. 23. When you are at one with loss, loss is experienced willingly. These lines, and what is conjoined with them, are perhaps the most puzzling in the whole of the Tao Te Ching. So much so that Richard Wilhelm writes, on the whole, it is probably sensible to give up the passage as hopelessly beyond interpretation. 3. Perhaps the most interesting aspect of the puzzle has to do with the word loss. What sort of loss is being spoken of? The present translation says, those who lose their way are lost. It does not say those who lose the Tao are lost. A great deal hinges on this issue. If it is ordinary loss that is being spoken of, including loss of riches, loss of health, loss of reputation, and so on, then we are being told that the follower of the Tao holds to the Tao in the face of all life circumstances. By contrast, if loss of the Tao is involved, then the matter is much more troubling and interesting. It could mean, as some translators have it, that he who loses the Tao is inwardly so lost that he feels no sense of breaking the contact with the most important thing in life. A more subtle reading could be that he who loses what he thinks is the Tao, which is therefore not the Tao that is beyond concepts, voluntarily accepts the sense of loss, and is thereby brought back to a deeper movement of return. Yet another reading of this passage, one that I happen to favor, and which was offered by the earliest Chinese commentator, Wang Pai, is, and he who is identified with the abandonment of Tao. The abandonment of Tao is also happy to abandon him for. In other words, one receives from reality exactly what one seeks from it. As you sow, so you reap. Galatians 2:7. The Tao, as the whole of nature, does not violently impose its will. This interpretation has the virtue of corresponding to the opening lines of the second section. D5. Tao follows what is natural. This should not be taken to mean that there is a level of reality called nature that is distinct from Tao. Tao is spontaneously what it is through its own nature. 27. This chapter is important for the light it throws on the way the advanced follower of the Tao manifests in the world. I take it to be speaking of the center of gravity of the wise teacher's outward action and the quality of attention he or she brings to it. To put it simply, the principal intention in the life of the wise is to pass on to others what they have understood of the way. This, surely, is among the highest forms of human love, the crux of the mystery in human relationships. Love for one's neighbor here does not mean liking the other. It has nothing to do with emotional attraction, nor is it organically or socially conditioned family, sexual, or intellectual love. For the wise, the other is neither good nor bad. The other is only an individual who is or is not following the Tao. And because all meaning and happiness for humanity depend ultimately on following the Tao, the wise teacher seeks only, and naturally, to arrange the details of his or her relationship to others to support and further their progress along the way. This is an immensely important issue, within the confines of which lies the whole question of spiritual transmission, communal forms, and the metaphysical basis of ethics. 32 and 34. Small. In these two chapters, and in others, for instance, chapter 52, the word small may be taken to mean exceedingly fine, light, invisible, and so on, all these terms referring to that which is the highest and most powerful reality or force in the universe. Such terms invite us to consider the quality of awareness that is needed to contact the highest, a very fine, subtle vibration, a consciousness that appears in us under interior conditions of great, vibrant silence. Finally, this small awareness may be understood as the ultimate force itself, or, to put it in other terms, mysterious as it may sound, conscious of the Tao is Tao. The highest consciousness is consciousness of itself. This self-luminous light expands and descends into the world of the 10,000 things. Compare the use of small in the Chandogya Upanishad, e. 3. Small as a grain of rice is that self, yet greater than all the worlds. Compare also the mustard seed of the Gospels and the still small voice heard by the prophet Elijah. 33. To die but not to perish is to be eternally present. This rendering invites us to think in a fresh way about immortality, what Western religions refer to as the survival of the soul after the death of the body. Something much more dynamic, tangible, and immediately relevant than our usual theological of immortality seems to be offered here. Well, what must die? What is presence? Now and here. 38. Paul's teaching that Christ came not to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. In other words, righteousness is not forcing the body to obey the thought, but is rather the appearance of a new principle within ourselves, which the body and the mind voluntarily and instantly obey. Compare also Nietzsche's third metamorphosis of the spirit in Thus Spake Zarathustra, how the spirit became a camel, then a lion, then a child. 42. From the one the universe is created, and at all levels of the world all phenomena are the result of the harmonization of two opposing forces. The foolish identify with one force and are defeated by the counterforce. This is violence. The wise do not seek triumph in this way. 47. The human being is a microcosm. By seeing within, one can know the laws of the universe. But of course, one must understand how to see, how to search within. It is not easy. Compare the Bhagavad Gita 4:17. Know therefore what is work, and also what is wrong work. And 3:27. All actions take place in time, by the interweaving of the forces of nature, but the man lost in selfish delusion thinks that he himself is the actor. 5:48. There is nothing to be added. There is nothing missing in ourselves. There are only accretions to be dropped. Compare the Sufi saying, when the heart weeps for what it has lost, the spirit laughs for what it has found. In Christianity, this teaching may be discerned in the doctrine that God has already forgiven us. We are already accepted. The human problem is to accept that deeply, The aim of spiritual work is to become able to receive that love. 50. 3 and 10. Paul Carus and Lin Yutang offer what seems to me an interesting alternate rendering of these lines. There are 13 avenues of life. There are 13 avenues of death. On 13 avenues men that live pass unto the realm of death. Carus, the companions, organs of life are 13. The companions, organs of death are also 13. Lin Yutang, those who know how to live walk abroad without fear of rhinoceroses or tigers. What are these rhinoceroses and tigers? Compare Rumi, a naked man jumps in the river, hornets swarming. Above him, the water is the Zikr, remembering, there is no reality but God. There is only God. The hornets are his sexual remembering. This woman, that woman, or if a woman, this man, that. The head comes up. They sting, breathe water, become river head to foot. Hornets leave you alone then. Even if you're far from the river, they pay no attention. 6. See also chapter 55, 59. Translations of this chapter differ considerably. The present translation is unique in connecting with giving up our own ideas. All the versions, however, suggest that what is being spoken of here is the accumulation of a certain force within oneself, which confers on the individual a capacity that is beyond ordinary understanding. No one can be a ruler of others or oneself without this mysterious capacity. This chapter is unusual and important, therefore, in referring to the cumulative effect or result of inner spiritual work. The luminous way in which Lao Tzu emphasizes the present moment of awareness may lead to a cheapened understanding along the lines of living for the moment. This chapter corrects that possible misunderstanding and reminds us that there is also the need for long and persistent inner work. 63 and 64. Compare sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Matthew 6:34. These two chapters deal with the art of, considered as the practice, of giving one's best attention to the present moment with all its details. The wise are distinguished not only by what they do, by the attention they bring to life. Out of this art of living, there can emerge great practical wisdom. We are being told, in short, that our lives are a reflection of the quality of our attention. 65. In the beginning, those who knew the Tao did not try to enlighten others, but kept it hidden. They did not explain in words and concepts, or make moral precepts of that which can only be sensed and intuited. The wise do not pander to the clever, who make mental representations out of sacred ideas, and therefore imagine something is understood when it is only named. This chapter, like almost all the text, resonates with the inner search as well. We are being advised, as it were, to keep our own cleverness from making the way into merely mental information. I take this to be the central meaning of the famous opening of chapter 56. Those who know do not talk. Those who talk do not know. Consider also, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. Matthew 6:3. The way to great unity requires great and true separation, discrimination, essences and levels in both the outer and inner life. Compare also the restrictions against certain forms of mixing in Judaism. 71. Plato tells us that the oracle at Delphi called Socrates the wisest of all men. What in the world does the god mean? Asks Socrates. What in the world is his riddle? For I know in my conscience that I am not wise in anything, great or small. Then what in the world does he mean when he says, I am wisest? Socrates then proceeds to question citizens of Athens who have a reputation for wisdom, statesmen, scientists, artists, craftsmen. and is shocked to realize that no one else is any wiser than he. The fact is that neither of us knows anything beautiful and good, but he does know when he doesn't, and I don't know and don't think I do. Apology 21. Socrates' wisdom consists in the awareness that he is not wise. This succinct chapter offers echoes of a truly momentous idea in the great spiritual traditions, expressed most paradoxically in the Mahayana Buddhist doctrine that nirvana, freedom, is samsara, slavery. Nirvana is the total awareness of samsara. Freedom is the total awareness of slavery. Knowledge is the total awareness of ignorance. Such awareness is not mere mental awareness, not merely the thought that one knows nothing or is enslaved. It is awareness as a tangible force, and can carry with it the power of feeling and sensing that itself conducts a great liberating energy into our human life. Thus, in the Christian contemplative tradition, the most important factor in the inner life is remorse, tears in confrontation with one's own distance from God. This remorse opens the way for the grace or mercy of God to enter. It cannot be simulated, it must be genuine. This is the principal meaning of humility. Blessed are they that mourn. Matthew 5-4, 74 and 75. These chapters concern rulers who interfere too much, who impose their will upon the people. The true master of the people, and of the people in oneself, loves and cares for their life, and they spontaneously return that love. Translators differ on the meaning of the term executioner in chapter 74. The general sense seems to be that one must destroy only that which is truly harmful to the state or to oneself, and that this cannot be discerned without the authentic, impartial love for the whole. That is the mark of the wise, of the master. 1 Lobsang P. Lalungpa, The Life of Milarepa, Boulder, Colorado. Prajna Press, 1982, 77. 2 Gregory Palamas, INI. Kadlubovsky and G. E. Palmer, Early Fathers from the Philokalia, London, Faber and Faber, 1954, 4-5. 3 Richard Wilhelm. Tao Te Ching, London and New York, Routledge and Kagan Paul, 126. 4 Ariane Rump, with Wing Sit Chan, Commentary on the Lao by Wang Pai, Honolulu. University Press of Hawaii, 1979-71. 5 Juan Mascaro, The Bhagavad Gita, Armansworth, England, Penguin Books, 1962. 6 Rumi, Ziker Inner, 3, Athens, Georgia, Maypop Books, 1987-42. Selected Bibliography. Blackney, R.B., The Way of Life, Lao Tzu, New York, New American Library. Interestingly rendered in the form of English verse, which gives the text a more westernized feeling and meaning. Introduction and notes offer useful associations with the Western mystical writings. Binner, The Way of Life According to Lao Tzu, New York, Putnam Publishing Group, 1944. Departs significantly from a literal translation, yet succeeds in creating a valid philosophical poem of considerable strength. Carus, Paul, The Canon of Reason and Virtue, La Salle, Illinois, Open Court Publishing Company, 1964. Extracted from the pioneering translation originally published in 898. Strong, insightful commentary. The translation is philosophical in successfully westernized conceptual form. Chan, Wingsit, The Way of Lao Tzu, Indianapolis and New York, Bob's Merrill Co., 19th Co. Excellent scholarship, readable with a readable translation, an exceptionally helpful historical and philosophical introduction, excellent notes. In general, a fine balance of academic thoroughness and human sensitivity. Shu, Takao, Tao Te Ching, London, George Allen and Unwin Ltd. 1937. Not elegant, solid and reliable. Urkes, Edward. Ho Shangkung's Commentary on Laozi. Ascona, Switzerland. Press of Artibus Asiae, 1950. An important ancient commentary that offers fascinating perspectives on the meaning of the text. Goddard, Dwight, and Bhikshu Waitao. Tao Te Ching in a Buddhist Bible, edited by Dwight Goddard. New York. P. 52, 1952. An admittedly interpretive translation that reads like a verse-by-verse summary commentary. Very worthwhile in conjunction with more literal renderings. Less reliable, but still interesting on its own. Law, D.C. Tao Te Ching. Harmonsworth, England, Penguin Books 1963. Scholarly and reliable. With useful historical introduction and appendices. Lin, Poljot, a translation of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching and Wang Pai's commentary. Ann Arbor. University of Michigan, Center for Chinese. Nyan 77. English translation of the text, and of the oldest and most important commentary on it. Excellent historical and philosophical notes, and an illuminating introduction dealing with the unique problems of translating from the Chinese text. Lin Yutang. The Wisdom of Laozi. New York. House, 1948. Elegant and thought translation including generous selections from Chuang Tzu as commentary. Very useful. Maurer, Harriman. The Way of the Ways. New York. Stocken Books, 1985. 5. Renderlicht, serious personal conviction and long experience with the text. Good references in the notes to other traditions, especially Christianity and Judaism in their mystical and contemplative aspects. Temporary in a helpful way. Mitchell, Stephen. Tao Te Ching. New York. Harper Row, 1988. Many verses rendered with poetic beauty and a strong sense of the contemporary reader. Overall interpretation of the text seems to be from the perspective of American Zen. Rump, Ariane, with Wingsit Chan. Commentary on the Lao Tzu by Wang Pai, Honolulu. University of Hawaii, now 1979. English translation of the text, and of the oldest and most important commentary on it, extremely helpful and remarkably resonant philosophically. Starr, Jonathan. Tao Te Ching, the definitive edition. New York, Jeremy P. Tarcher Putnam, 2001. This exhaustively researched and spiritually sensitive volume provides a coherent overall rendering supplemented by verbatim translations that expose many of the fertile ambiguities throughout the Chinese text. English text, without commentary, was published separately in 2008 as a Tarcher Cornerstone edition. Unknown. Tao Te Ching. Introduction by Raghavan Iyer. London, Santa Barbara, and New York. Concord Grove Press, 983. 3. One of the most interesting and sensitive modern versions. Whaley, Arthur. The Way and Its Power. London, George Allen and Unwin Ltd. 1930-34. Highly insightful and bold translation and commentary. Strongly recommended. Wilhelm Richard. Tao Te Ching. Translated from the German by H.G. Ostwald. London and New York, Routledge and Kagan Paul. 1925. Vigorous and scholarly translation with serious philosophical commentary. Resources. Lao Tzu. Tao Te Ching, translated by Jia Fu Feng and Jane English with Toinette Lip. Large format paperback edition with over 100 new photographs and Chinese calligraphy, and e-book of this small format paperback edition with an introduction and notes by Jacob Needleman. Photographs or Chinese calligraphy. Both new editions, New York, Vintage Books, www.vintagebooks.com, Shuangsu, Inner Chapters, translated by Jia Fu Feng and Jane English. A companion book to the illustrated edition of the Tao Te Ching, with the same format of photographs, text, and calligraphy. Available at www.ahart.com. Tao Calendar, created by Jane English. An annual wall calendar that uses text and calligraphy from the Tao to Ching and Chuangzi, with new photographs each year. Available at www.amberlotus.com. Art quality prints of the photos in the illustrated editions of the Tao Te Ching and Chuangzi, with or without calligraphy, may be ordered at www.ahart.com. About the editors. Jane English, whose photographs form an integral part of the illustrated edition of this book, was born in Boston, Massachusetts, in 1942. She holds a BA from Mount Holyoke College and received her doctorate from the University of Wisconsin in experimental high-energy particle physics in 1970. Her other books and annual calendars include Different Doorway, Adventures of a Keysarian Born Fingers Pointing to the Moon, and the annual Ice Wisdom calendar. Her current work may be seen at www.ahart.com. Jia Fufeng was born in 1919 in the ancient city of Suzhou. He grew up in Shanghai, where his father was one of the founders of the Bank of China. During World War I, he graduated from Peking University, part of Southwestern Associated University, a university in exile in Kunming, Free China. He came to the United States in 1947 and earned a master's degree in international banking at the Wharton School. In meeting Alan Watts in San Francisco and studying at the American Academy of Asian Studies, he found the path he had been seeking. He taught at Esalen Institute in Big Sur, California, and founded Still Point Foundation, a Taoist community in California, then Colorado, where he lived until his death in 1985. Toinette Lip began her publishing career in London and came to the United States in 1964. She worked at Alfred Knopf for more than 30 years as reprint rights director and senior editor. In 1989, while still at Knopf, she founded Bell Tower, where she edited 70 books that nourish the soul, illuminate the mind, and speak directly to the heart. Her own books, Nothing Left Over, A Plain and Simple Life and Caught in the Act, Reflections on Being, Knowing, and Doing, were published in 2002 and 2004. She now devotes herself to East Asian brush painting, and her paintings and cards can be seen at www.toinetlip.com. Jacob Needleman is Professor Emeritus of Philosophy at San Francisco State University. He was educated at Harvard, Yale, and the University of Freiburg, Germany. He is the author of numerous books, including Lost Christianity, The American Soul, Why Can't We Be Good? And What is God? In addition to his teaching and writing, he serves as a consultant in the fields of psychology, education, medical ethics, and philanthropy, and he was featured on Bill Moyers's acclaimed PBS series A World of Ideas. www.jacobneedleman.com